Making sure it's working.
Thank you, Raquel. So I'd like to order the Fallbrook Regional Health District Facilities Committee meeting on this day, January 14th at 5:02 p.m. So don't have to have a roll call, do you?
Nope.
Nope.
It's only when we have a remote.
Any public comments?
Sir.
No.
We also received nothing via email.
Okay, so we've got discussion items. And the first is, thanks. Ongoing, please. Okay, so the new general contractor agreement.
Correct. Yeah. So I'll take that, although Teresa really did the bulk of the work on this one. In part of our efforts to be completely compliant with Department of Industrial Relations, DIR, which is what all public works projects really have to fall under. We needed to have a maintenance person contract, somebody that we can call when mirrors need to be hung and small repairs here and there. Even that level of maintenance has to fall under DIR. There's not a ton, as you can imagine, of handyman style services that fall under that.
Yeah.
Teresa did some good work. Judith had done some work, and Teresa finally found a group that has done a lot of general contracting, but also does handyman services. So we have been working with them to get that outlined. Teresa worked with Alex to get that final general contractor / handyman contract executed. So we will provide about $1,500 a month in the budget expectation to pay for that handy person to be able to change exterior lights. All of the small projects as well. Example, in this building, when I removed the old posters that were on the wall, some of the adhesive took off bits of drywall. It's a small repair, but getting someone who could just be on call for that. Obviously, the Wellness Center has lots of buildings, lots of repairs all the time that are just small in nature. This way, this will allow us to have a contracted person. We know their rates. We know that they can do a certified payroll as is required through DIR. So we've signed that contract already. It falls well within my spending limit, but we wanted to make sure that you knew that we had this new person under contract. It's MBMA.
MC, yeah.
Something like that?
MCB.
No, I actually.
Wait, MC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually have it right here. MPMC. We both failed a memory test. That's the official name, but their DBA is Classic Handyman Services, which is very descriptive, right? So we'll be able to work with, Peter is the owner. He and his main work guy came out, walked both sites. We showed him a few things that we need here and there. So they'll be able to be our contracted fix-it guys.
Is that 1,500 a retainer or just in the budget so that you can pay them when you need it?
We'll pay him monthly, that amount. It's basically retainer amount. We pretty much walked through the bulk of things and figured that's about what we would normally pay. And it's equitable enough to get him to agree to come out and do 15 little things once a month, or to come out and spend a few hours in one time for a particular project. And that will allow us to schedule and manage the timing of those things a little better. Because we now also have him under contract, if we have smaller projects that don't fall within any of our bidding, we can also then ask for a specific estimate. The example here is the room upstairs where our bookkeeper sits right now, Linda's old office. That needs to be completely renovated. We need to take all those old shelves out. We need to kind of do that room. Well, it's way too small for any other general contractor to want to do it, but because we're under contract with him, we can make that a discrete, separate project. He can provide us a price that is outside of this contract, but still falls within the certificate of insurance and the rest of the contracting. So it really is a good opportunity for us to have those small repairs as well as for smaller projects.
So there'll always be something for them to work on in a sense.
Pretty
You know,
much.
Like their projects, I'll take away, and then it's that little small things that will come up in there.
Great. And the small things mostly happen at the wellness center, but we do have some things here. Right now, we've got one of the lights in our exterior lights at, when we put those in 2020, 2019 something? We have one of the lights that's gotten really dim. Well, I mean, somebody needs to change a light bulb. But we have no idea what kind of light bulb it is. I know Judith has tried to go through our old manuals and it's a model this and it needs a serial. We just be like, hey, can you fix that?
The elevator needs a new one.
Right?
I put in what we could to get through all the licensing for it, but it needs an actual real light bulb.
Right. And they are specific types.
Yeah.
So those are just little tiny irritants that we've not been able to handle ourselves, or they take half a day to track down something that, you know, someone within that industry is like, oh, you know, like Roy, you've got handy people that you know can do it. We can't fall under them anymore. And there have been some recent changes in some of the legal public contracting stuff that's made this much more relevant and important that we follow those rules specifically. So I want to make sure you knew that that was a new contractor that we've signed an agreement with.
Congratulations for finding that person. Huh?
Makes me sleep better at night.
Good. All right, thank you. So next is Building A, Room 2, Encinitas Design Group updates.
Yep, that is still pretty much pending. That encroachment report permit that we have to get. It's been sitting on my desk waiting for its turn. Raquel volunteered to take a look at and see if she could start getting it filled out.
Almost done.
And then she'll pass it to me and I won't have any more excuse to not finish the other parts of it. So it'll actually get done now. And then once that's submitted, presuming the county approves of where the right turn only sign is, whether they have to send out someone to inspect it or put in a new pole. Once that's done, then we can finish the minor deviation, which was needed for the construction of the teaching kitchen.
Good. That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Raquel, for
My
doing
pleasure.
something that she can now no longer avoid.
Right.
Very well put.
All right, next is Building B, Education Rooms 5 and 6,
3 and 6.
3 and 6.
That's what you saw.
Yeah.
And the exterior restrooms. So, again, like many of these things, they're dominoes. So once we decided we were not going to pursue that folding wall between rooms 3 and 6, that's the end of that education building. We realized that the renovation that needs to happen in room 3 is just removal of the old sink, fix the flooring, patch the drywall, some paint. Now that we have a maintenance general contractor under contract, that's a small repair. He can handle that for us, right? When we get to room 6, that will probably be separate because restroom renovations are costly, which leads to the exterior restrooms renovation. You'll see the bids for those behind. That's what's next on the agenda. We finally had 3 bids for that. Those are all over $100,000, but well under the 225, which is our UPCA limit. So we did have to do a bid process, but not the full closed bid formal process. So that's what we'll present to you for item D.
All right,
So
done with C?
we're done with C.
All right. So item D is review and approve pursuit of contract for CHMWC water closet. Is that water closet?
Community Health and Wellness Center.
Oh. I gotcha. Exterior restroom ADA access. So, and prevention.
Yep, so we received 3 bids from the Classic Handyman Services. Again, they are a general contractor, so they put in a separate bid for that one. Boker Builders, which has been another local that put in a bid. And then one from Kaya, KYIA, which is a group that we've met through CSDA. All 3 groups came out and did a walkthrough, substantial conversation with Teresa about the pieces that need to go in there after they reviewed the draftsperson's plans that we had for that. So they all provided a bid. The Kaya bid came in at $190, basically $199. The Boker Builders came in at $166,290. And Classic Handyman came in at $166,988.
Wow.
So a $700 difference, which is nominal in the cost of this.
Mhm.
At this point, my recommendation is to go ahead and stay with Classic Handyman. The $700 is nominal, but he had a little bit more detail in the bid that made me a little more comfortable with the scope of the project, the way he's outlined it.
So did I understand that the handyman we have hired works for that company?
He is that company.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
the owner.
All right.
So they have 2 basically divisions. They do a general contracting side, and then they have this kind of bread and butter
Okay.
handyman service, right? So he provided us a bid as a general contractor. We would do a separate contract
Okay.
specific to that project.
Right.
That follows just the scope of this,
Yeah.
but it would be a known vendor to us at that point.
Good.
Okay.
So that's what I'd like to put forward to you all for recommendation. It obviously can't fit into tonight's board meeting because you hadn't had a chance to look at it. But what we would likely do is start putting together the contract, get all the pieces so that at the February board meeting, it can just be voted, signed, and approved. Because it usually takes us about a month to get all the paperwork together anyway.
Good.
So presuming you all are comfortable with approving, moving forward with that vendor for those restrooms. Just a side note, while the bid is $167,000, we did receive $120,000 in grant funds. So that
Yeah.
project won't cost us the full amount, which is great. And the Community Benefit Program at FPUD is supporting that renovation.
Good. So should we make the recommendation to the board that we accept that bid? Is that the?
That's what would go in the next set of minutes, and then once the board approves those minutes, they're accepting your recommendation, and then we would also have the contract in the packet for next month as well.
So,
Yeah, because right now what we just have are the estimates. I don't have an actual contract.
so when we do our next meeting next month, it would just to approve the contract and then just sign with them within the, and then when would construction start?
Probably as soon after that as possible.
Okay.
Good.
The only expense we don't have in there, and that was part of the conversation, is we'll bring in like trailered porta potties,
Oh,
the
okay.
nicer ones that have the hand wash and everything, because those 2 restrooms are the most utilized on the property. And so we'll bring that in. It's a convenience factor to try to send everybody from that building up to building A to use those little restrooms. So we'll trailer that. Speaking with Peter, he mentioned it was probably be about a month and a half, I think he said was the length of time he thought it would take to get that project finished.
The bathrooms.
I mean, obviously it depends on weather and stuff.
Anything surprises.
So can we recommend this even though the contracts haven't been?
Yeah, you'll recommend it in this committee, and then next month, you'll see the actual contract and we'll have it on the board
And
agenda.
we'll approve it.
Right. But because you hadn't seen anything yet, I couldn't put it on tonight's board
Mhm.
packet.
Okay.
And Bill, you want to recommend that?
Yes, I will recommend that.
I will too.
Excellent, we're very excited about that.
Yay.
Thank you.
So I'm looking at that slide and I'm not sure what to do with it.
Oh, that is just copies of what was in your packet. Those were the estimates from the builder, so.
Gotcha. All right, then, we're to board member comments and future agenda items. We know of one, right? Don't we?
For next month,
Right?
So,
you'll see the actual contract.
so I'll comment on that. So,
Duly noted.
anything else you'd like to add, Annabelle?
No,
Okay.
I will just provide an update. We, again, at the Wellness Center, with the Wellness Center, always, just kidding. So if you think about the property where you've got building B, the education building, and then you've got building A and you've got our new ramps, right? Excellent. Then you've got that whole big dirt slope in the middle. That area is problematic because we had to rerun some of the drainage from above into that space. The plan had been, and Teresa and I had already discussed, that would be a great area to expand our pollinator garden, native habitat kind of landscaping.
Mhm.
Of all the various kinds of things we've tried to put in that space, nothing really fits. At various times we tried to think, okay, how could we put in a children's play area? The spacing doesn't really fit. We've tried to think, okay, could we build it into like a little tiered meeting space? Again, it doesn't really work because the chickens make it really loud to hold a conversation there. So it's also very, very visible from the parking lot. So the idea is if we take that space, and we've already met with Mission Resource Conservation District to work and find the appropriate vendors to design and help get the correct plants, identify the type of irrigation, all of those pieces to make that area semi-educational on how California native plants could work in that space. Maybe it's a drought tolerant education, whatever it is, it's a perfect little avenue right in front of the education building.
Good.
So we met with them yesterday. They're going to put together a proposal of what that cost is likely to be so that we can have an idea of what that'll come forward with. So you'll see that coming forward as well. And then that should pretty much finish that space. Other than we talked about that teaching garden, which is at the end of the building. We wanted to not work on that until the other rooms are done in case construction stuff had to happen. But that would get us ready for that side of the property to be fully done. Finally,
So just what's left after that?
everything else. No, right, so building A, which was the old church building, right? We already have half of that with the teaching kitchen, right? We have the plan for that. The previous sanctuary component, that doesn't have as extensive plans, but we've talked about putting in a door that is that south facing or what faces Mission Road so that you have full visual that will help brighten up that room. Adding a double door on the west side or when you first drive in and you park in those spaces right next to the building, having a space there. That way that room can be utilized as more of a community space. So we'll have to change some flooring. We've talked about having to do some sound abatement panels on the wall, something, because it's just an echo chamber, right? Really kind of tooling that room for better usage. Since we're not going with the previous plan, which had been, you know, the big front glass areas, but making some changes on that. So that's something that needs to be addressed. There's still all the landscaping and pieces around that. We're not going to touch that until the teaching garden is done because we're going to tear up landscaping just around construction. It always happens. And then once that's done, we actually have to address the house, which also has to have full new entry because it's not ADA accessible. And the backyard will have to be done because that's not usable. So yeah, there's a few more things.
What are your thoughts for the backyard?
The backyard, what we've talked to a couple of different people. Being able to set it so that you've got kind of a railing that protects from that concrete drop off.
Mhm.
But around the left of it, if you're coming out that back slider, having a sloped, scaled walkway that's accessible, ADA, level out that lower area so that you have some outdoor meeting space. Maybe it's an outdoor yoga meeting. Maybe it's just a retreat space for one of our support groups. Just meeting space.
Yeah.
Under the trees, beyond that, we've talked about putting in kind of a meditation garden, meeting space, a memorial kind of space, something like that.
Yeah.
So all of that is sort of like third tier. We've pretty much had it, the strategy that building B, the education building, would be fully finished
Sure,
before those other two projects were tackled in any main way.
that makes sense.
That's what we hoped.
All right, well, then,
Anything else, Teresa, Judith, that I've talked about from facilities or? I think that's it. Yeah. Okay.
So are the rooms,
no,
so the rooms 3 and 6, are those being used right now too?
They are, they're not real pretty.
They aren't. Wait, so the one room, room 3, the carpet is like, we tried to get the stains out of it. It's icky. So we use it for like different community groups that are coming in to play games and stuff. They don't really care. Sometimes they bring food, which, doesn't matter because we don't, the flooring's a mess. And then the other room we've used for bigger groups, or things that are messy because it has hard flooring. And again, it's kind of out of the way back there. So, but we do use them.
And the goal for that room, room 6 is, it has interior restrooms. So once those restrooms are updated, they'll be single person, single gender, doesn't matter. The idea is that would be the perfect kind of room for any kind of mommy and me class, right? It's private, it's quiet, or we keep a hard floor in there so that if there is some room that's gonna potentially need a sink, that's the room it can happen in, right? We still have a sink in room 1, which has worked for folks, but it's kind of nice to have that on maybe either side. That is probably the more quiet and private room, and with the restrooms right in it, it fits for different uses that may have more special or different requirements.
good. All right, then, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Got it.
Raquel, I like those, as you know, like those finance committee minutes really well.